Hello, good evening. Welcome to Hucknall in Nottingham. It's me, John O'Bullard, with the first off-season hockey chat of 2022, being a month since the season finished. So a lot going on. So I thought it was time to do another hockey chat to discuss everything that's been going on really since the end of the season. A lot happening. As you can imagine, there's been quite a few questions that you've been sent in, and thank you to everyone who sent questions in. It really is appreciated. Um, so, a lot of questions around the Panthers, as you can imagine, with everything that's happened there. But we've got a lot of other questions as well. So, do stay tuned. It isn't all going to be about the Nottingham Panthers. You'll be pleased to know, I'm sure. Um, just a reminder that if you do want to get in touch, you've got the comment box on the right hand side as I look at it. I'm not sure how it's set up on your screens, but if you want to send a question or react to anything that we talk about, then you've got the comment box just there. Or I will be monitoring my Twitter account at John O'Bullard. You can send it via DM if it's more than 280 characters. My DMs are open. Or you can just send it through to at John O'Bullard. I always forget to start Audacity for the podcast. That's another reminder that this will be available as an audio podcast once we have finished recording, probably about 20 minutes after we finish here. It will be available on all podcast platforms to listen to if you wish to listen to it on a walk or in the car or whatever. If YouTube isn't as easy to get hold of after the event, yeah, it's all available for you on a podcast, so you can listen there. Before we begin in earnest, just want to send congratulations to Shamini Jackson, who is Nottingham based and from Nottingham. She has been named as the captain for the under-18 Great Britain women's team, who will be going out to Turkey to take part in their World Championships later this month. So many congratulations to her. Shamini is a player I've seen quite a lot of throughout her junior career. Actually saw her playing for the Solihull Vixens this weekend and the WNIHL Women's Finals weekend in Widnes. An excellent player. A player I saw in a junior under 15s national final, playing with the likes of Jack Hopkins and Archie Hazeldine, who we will come on to a little later, I'm sure, and was the player of the game in that game. She had an absolutely fantastic game, and is a player I've been impressed with every time I've seen her. She made a full senior GB debut this season in the Olympic qualifiers and the World Championships as part of the gold medal women's team. So a very much deserved captaincy, I feel, for Shamini Jackson. And a good choice by women's under-18 head coach Angela Taylor. I think a very good choice. Good evening to everyone who's saying good evening on the comments. Pleasure to have you along. If I could ask, I have tweeted this out on my Twitter, if you could just retweet it. We'll try and get as many people in here as we can to help the discussion along. Also, as I mentioned, it was the women's NIHL finals weekend in Widnes this weekend. I was part of the web stream for that. Adam Mackman doing a fantastic job on commentary. 10 games over the weekend. An absolutely brilliantly run tournament. And many congratulations to Faye Andrews, who ran the tournament absolutely brilliantly, and everybody who was involved. There were some absolutely great games over the weekend. Three I want to pick out, especially the two Elite League, Women's Elite League semi-finals, which was Solihull against Guildford and the Queen Bees against Streatham. Were absolutely fantastic games, both of them. And then on the Sunday, the under-16 final between the Kingston Diamonds and the London Capitals was a brilliant game with an incredible finish. These are available to watch again. They're available to buy on Webstream. They're £5 each. So if you do want to have a look at those, £5 for each game, you can play them on repeat as many times as you like. www.247.tv/hockey. And there's also games from the junior national finals in Sheffield from earlier in May as well. So do take a look at that. Some absolutely great games on there, and like I say, those games at the weekend in Widnes just gone were absolutely fantastic. Can highly recommend a viewing of those if you get the opportunity and want to spend your £5 on those. Highly recommended. GMB Panthers' favourite all-time Panther, Simon Hunt. No question about it. Simon Hunt is my favourite all-time Panther. Going back a few years, but great player. Same age as me, from Nottingham. It's my first total hockey hero. So yeah, Simon Hunt for me. So that's an easy one. Okay, we'll crack on with the questions that everybody has sent in. And this one was sent to me a few days ago by Martin Andrews at @mandrews_1 on Twitter, who I believe is a Steelers fan. And he says, what are my thoughts on Marc-Olivier Vallerand's comments in his interview with Peter Spencer on the Elite League and the schedule? So for those that don't know, in the interview, Marc-Olivier Vallerand has left the Sheffield Steelers. He signed for Ljubljana. I think they play in the Ice Hockey League, which is sort of a combination of countries, so mainly Austria, but also Slovakia as well. I think there's one or two Italian teams in there as well. So Vallerand said that the schedule of the Elite League was something that he considered when wanting to move, because back-to-back games can be a bit of a killer. And I had to look, because I thought, well, my first initial thought when I listened to it was, well, you didn't have a problem when you've been playing in the Elite League for 3 seasons. But when I looked at his elite prospects, I didn't realise they were actually back-to-back. Obviously, his time in Sheffield was split by the COVID pandemic. So he had a season either side of that. And I thought he'd gone to Sheffield from Coventry, but he hadn't. He actually had a season in between. So he hasn't actually played back-to-back seasons in the Elite League. And when you think about it, he's actually probably got a point. I mean, the schedule isn't massive at 54 games. It's very similar to many other leagues. But we do play a lot of back-to-back games, and in some cases, triple headers throughout the season, which, especially with the shortened bench sizes that we had this season, that's not going to be ideal. So I can actually see where he's coming from. And I saw a comment on THF earlier today, actually, that I did agree with someone saying perhaps we ought to look at having games on Friday and Sunday. And I know that that's something that they do in Germany, where they have games on a Friday and a Sunday to give that sort of day's break. What's Anthony say? He's going to a league where when he hits the playoffs, he'll be going Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. So yeah, so there's a day in between. And of course, that's what they've been doing in the NHL playoffs as well. There's a day in between each game to give a little bit of recovery time. And I suppose in the case of the NHL, travel time as well. So I think actually he has got a bit of a point. On the other side of that, you've then got scheduling of rinks and arenas, but also Saturday night is a big hockey night, and a lot of teams are relying on that Saturday night crowd. So it's a really difficult one, but I can actually see where he's coming from. Like, could it work Friday and Sunday? So ellipsis. Friday night, Sunday afternoon would be nice. Shame if you're away on the Friday. Adam RP89 says Vallerand really didn't need to see those things. He knew what he was getting himself into. Looks bad on the Steelers, and it's something that should address internally and not publicly. I disagree with that. He's only raising a concern for greater discussion. I don't think he's having a moan or anything like that. I think it's something that probably should be discussed. He's raising a valid concern. At the end of the day, it's about the health of the players. The league made the league caused a problem by reducing the roster sizes, so that made it more difficult. It's not as if you had depth to go back on here. So, what have I missed, Ari? About go back. I'm not repeating it all, Ant. Go back when we're finished. See, I think he makes a valid point. Ellipsis, there's nothing wrong with saying the schedule is physically difficult. No, I don't think there is. A lot of people seem to be agreeing in the comments. Ellipsis, it can't be easy playing on a Saturday and then driving to Dundee to play on Sunday. Name drop here, but I was having this discussion with Jordan Kelsall at the GB game against Denmark about Panthers who are looking to trial more Friday nights this coming season. And we're saying, how difficult is it? You may be playing, say, Dundee or Fife or Glasgow on a Saturday night, and then you've got to travel back down to Nottingham for a 4 p.m. face-off on the Sunday. That's not good, and that's not really thinking about the health of the players from my point of view. GBI Soccer Future says it's a very valid point. Think of the goalies who basically play the entire seasons with non-stop back-to-backs. Yeah, again, another very, very good point. So yes, I actually think Vallerand does make some very valid comments, but then you have to weigh that up with the scheduling of the rinks and when they can actually fit games in, especially in arenas. But I think it's something that should be more widely discussed without a doubt, because you're looking at causing less injuries and looking at the health of the players as well. So I think it's a very important point that Marc-Olivier Vallerand raises there, to be honest. Next question comes from David Houghton at DavyBoy1994 on Twitter. He says, what do you make of the Matt Haywood situation? Seems a one-sided story, but also another Brit not happy, the goalie Jordan McLaughlin as well. So for those that don't know, Matt Haywood has been at Glasgow Clan, or Braehead Clan as they were, since they formed in 2010. And he left. He put a big statement on Twitter about why he was leaving. And, it sounds as if it wasn't an acrimonious split, to say the least. He's gone to the Leeds Knights, as has Jordan McLaughlin, the backup goalie who was the backup goalie at Glasgow Clan last season. I think McLaughlin's gone to find more ice time, to be honest, and I also think that the Haywood situation is pretty poor. Jordan's gone to, of course, yes, he has gone to. I thought they'd both gone to Leeds. I saw something at Leeds, so Jordan McLaughlin's gone to Hull. Apologies. It just doesn't seem a great situation, but like David mentions, it is only a one-sided story. We've not had the Glasgow Clan side of it yet, but it does appear that it's not been a happy split. And it's really, if what Matt Haywood was saying in his statement is true, is that really the best way to treat someone who has been at your club for that long, since they formed, and has had a testimonial as well? It's not a good situation. It's not a good situation. Basically, what he said was, I think something happened in season as well, where he sat a game because he supposedly broke COVID protocols. He went to a wedding that he'd informed the club of. Apparently, the club were quite happy for him to go. And then they said he'd broken COVID protocols and he had to sit a game. So I think maybe the catalyst for this is somewhat earlier in the season. So it's not good. It's not a good situation. If you go on Matt Haywood's Twitter, you can read the full statement that he made. Obviously, he pays tribute to the clan fans, the clan supporters club, but it sounds like it was not a happy split at all, and it's not a good situation there. But like I say, we have only heard Matt Haywood's side of the story. There's been no response as such from the Glasgow Clan as yet, so maybe we need to see that before jumping to any conclusions. But at the moment, it does not look good at all. Next question comes from Graham Thompson at Clantastic, obviously also a Clan fan, and he says it's the NHL conference finals and soon the Stanley Cup final games. The Elite League title sponsor is showing all the games unless they have football on. Should the league take an interest and include in social media or treat it as irrelevant to the sport here? Yeah, I've not seen a lot from the clubs or the league regarding the NHL playoffs, which of course on Premier Sports being the league sponsor. So, yeah, I mean, it can't harm, can it? If the Elite League clubs and the league themselves get the word out there, it may create more subscribers. That creates more money for Premier Sports, and that may, in the end, provide more money for the Elite League in forms of high sponsorship. You never know. You've got to think out of the box on some of these things. But I think it is a very, very, very good point. It shouldn't be treated as irrelevant. But I think there should be some sort of interest in on social media. I think, to be fair, Sheffield did something at the start of the playoffs where they did all their players and who they think would win. I can't remember if there was anything regarding where they would be shown. To be fair, there probably was, but I can't remember that. Ant says that recalls some joined up thinking, though. That's a very, very good point. That's a very, very good point. But yeah, I think it's something that should be probably promoted more. Like I say, if Premier Sports have more income, then they may have more money to give the Elite League in the form of sponsorship. It works both ways, doesn't it? So yes, I agree. There probably should be a bit more marketing on that. Let's head to the comments. There's quite a few on there. Glenn M, evening Glenn. We'll all have a Thursday TV game. Yeah, that's something that I saw, and I know that Bob Westerdale's gone all in on this. So it's. I think if Bob told me the time, I'd still check my watch. But we'll all have a Thursday TV game. Yeah, and I think it's absolutely right that they have an actual special day for the TV games. At the moment, the audience for Premier Sports is existing ice hockey fans. So, what's the point of having a game on a Saturday or Sunday when most fans are going to be at the game? Have it on a special night. And if it's on a Thursday night, it becomes a go-to, a regular thing. I think it's right. Yeah, I can see some clubs, and there's been noises about whether that will affect attendance. It probably will, because it's essentially a midweek game. But at the end of the day, if it creates more subscribers for Premier Sports again, more money available, more money to shovel into the sport. And that's how it works. It just needs to be marketed correctly. So hopefully it will be. GMB Panther says, make Sunday games face off at 7. The argument over thinking kids having to get up early for school on Monday doesn't wash when midweek games face off at 7:30. I agree. One of these in season a few weeks ago, I said how much I hate 4 p.m. Sunday face offs. And I agree. I would compromise and probably have a 6 o'clock face off on a Sunday, but I hate 4 o'clock face offs on Sunday. Really, really do. Jordan was at Leeds last season. Part of the Sam Gospel is hurt. Please help. Yes, goalie round by Hull this year with Curtis Warburton. Yeah. Glenn M, Big Malk cutting the old guard. Did match at AH do something to upset the club? That goes back to the last one. Let's see. Tanya. Good evening, Tanya. She says, just wanted to say what a fab job Pacha's doing. Breath of fresh air for the Panthers. Absolutely. More on that later. Glenn says, everyone is too busy sorting fixtures, accommodation, and player announcements. Yeah. GB Hockey Future, marketed correctly. Good luck. Good point. And Ant says 5:36 p.m. on Sunday would be so much better than 4. I think anything later would be better than 4 o'clock. Even 4:30 would be better. Not much, but a bit better. Let's crack on. And this also deals with TV as well. Another question from David Houghton at Davy Boy 1994. And he says, what would be the best way to get more people into ice hockey in the UK? I have no idea if the TV deal that requires subscription is helping that. People who have bought to ice hockey have said it's too fast to follow or have really enjoyed it. I found that with regards to bringing people is that they either love it or they hate it. And more people love it than hate it. But yeah, I see what you're saying about the TV deal, but Premier Sports are the ones who have put the money in. Nobody else has come forward. No other broadcast. And I keep and it's something I went on about a while ago, but it's something that really annoys me when I say it should be on Sky, it should be on BBC, should be on ITV, should be on free to air, whatever. Well, they're not coming in to cover it. Premier Sports are, Free Sports are. They are covering the sport. So, let them cover the sport because they're the only ones putting the money up to do it. Yes, it would be great if the BBC covered the sport, but they're not. They haven't covered it for many years. ITV the same. Channel 4, anyone like that. They're not exactly being down the door to cover it. So, Premier Sports is what we've got, and while they're covering it, and Free Sports covering Great Britain, and they've covered other things. They've covered the Great Britain women. They've covered Great Britain juniors at under 20 and under 18s. They should be applauded for that because they're the only ones who seem to want to do it. So that's all I've got to say regarding the TV. But yeah, as regards getting more people in, down to marketing. And I think this is something that the Steelers do exceptionally well. Because you only have to look at the way their crowds have grown over the past few seasons. They're averaging well over 6,000, which is a phenomenal achievement, especially straight after COVID. So I think maybe look at what they're doing, look at how they're bringing people in, because it's obviously working. I said it before. I think what Steelers do is they create this impression that they're this like club who win all the time, which is a fabulous bit of marketing. It's obviously not the case, as their trophy count in the last 5 seasons will show. But they do a great job of getting the word out there and getting people to come to the games. So I think there's something to maybe be looked at there, almost certainly. Okay, there's going to be a few Panthers questions now. Going on to Luke Ferrara. Before I do that, I can see there's a couple of questions coming on the chat. Rob Asprey, what is my overall thoughts on GB's performance at the Worlds? Do you think they were unlucky or did they lack quality with Kirk and Hammond missing? Kirk and Hammond missing were big blows. Now, obviously, we had Cade Nielsen come through, who was superb in that tournament. So he was absolutely fantastic. But I think we were missing a bit of depth and quality with Kirk and Hammond missing. Brendan Connolly as well, although I don't think he was as big a loss as what Kirk and Hammond were, to be honest. And also, I think we seem to run out of steam in a couple of games. That Austrian game, we were well ahead and were well on top until sort of the last probably 12 minutes where we seem to run out of steam. Same happened against Latvia as well. So is there something that needs looking at with regarding the conditioning? But the other thing is that was the first time that they've been together since the last World Championships. They've had no time together in that year. They're not. We're not exactly setting the team up for success, are we? By not allowing them to get time together throughout the season. I think that's absolutely ludicrous. I'm pretty sure that no other Pool A nation wouldn't have had any time together throughout the previous 12 months since the last World Championships. And that's something I think that Ice Hockey UK need to really look at with regards to international breaks and that sort of thing. So, I think that is something that needs to be looked at. I see you put another question about what do I think, do we think we'll get back into top flight next year? One thing they have done is given themselves the best chance by taking the tournament in Nottingham. great move. Really, really great move. And that'll allow a home crowd to really get behind the team, and hopefully they can get straight back up. Obviously, a lot depends on what happens with Belarus and Russia and where they're placed. But I think there's definitely a more than excellent chance of going straight back up to the top pool, with the top two going up. So yeah, definitely they've given themselves a massive chance by having it as a home tournament. Let's have a look. Jamie Bartholomew, how many players can you see being on two ways between the Elite League and National League? Quite a few. I mean, Archie Hazeltine already signed up between Leeds and Panthers. The Steelers have got their two netminders. I would think as more and more signings are announced, there'll be a lot more two ways announced. Interesting that the Archie Hazeltine deal between Panthers and Leeds is that Panthers have first call on him, which I think is good. And Gary Graham, in his latest podcast, said that he will be sending him up and down, but it sounds like he's there with a view to playing him should he need him. I saw Archie play for Manchester this season. He had one game in the Challenge Cup, and he was the best. He got man of the match. Was the best player on the ice. So he's more than capable at this level, and he's got so much talent and so much potential. And I really hope that Gary Graham can bring that out of him and continue his improvement and his development, because he is a very, 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 very good player. Very good player. Glenn M, who will win a fight, Big Malcolm Cameron or Gary Graham, and which has the bigger budget from Neil Black? I would think that Nottingham will have the bigger budget. As for the fight, I can imagine it'd be a good one, but I can't see Gary Graham losing it from what I've seen. GB Hockey Future, we look very old at the Worlds. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is a lot of older players in there, isn't there? But it is what it is, I suppose. Have I seen the thread on the cage that talks about accommodation problems at the Panthers? If so, thoughts? I'd hope this is an area of big improvement under Pacha. I have seen the thread. Look at who talks about it, and that's all I'm going to say. Look at where it comes from. So, there we go. Ed Bradley between Cardiff and Bristol. That's right. Yes, that's a decent signing for Bristol, and he had a very, very good season with the Bees last season. Anthony Russell, the Hazeltine deal is how a two-way should be. The big club should have priority and manage the development, almost like we should copy elsewhere. Yeah, and that's the thing. Hazeltine is going to train with the Panthers. He won't be training with Knights, which is really good. So he gets that benefit of being with the team. Okay, let's move on. Luke Ferrara, as I'm sure you'll not be surprised, there's a few questions about. Tim Ansell at Timmy Chuck on Twitter, a commentary fan, has the first one. He says, will Luke Ferrara start on the top line at Panthers to make the most of his goal scoring? And if he does, will he still be on the top line at Christmas? It will certainly be top two lines. I would think power play, possibly penalty kill. But yeah, without a doubt, he's going to be top line, second line. No, there's no point in bringing a player in like Luke Ferrara to play him on the third or fourth line. No, and you only have to look at the way he has scored points over the past few seasons at Coventry. He is a top British player. He's not only a top British player, he's been one of the best overall players in the Elite League for a few seasons. So, yeah, definitely a top two line player for me. Whether he's the actual top, I'm not sure. I think more likely to be in on the second line, depending on who we get in as top line, as other sort of impact forwards. So, signing I am absolutely delighted with. I'm not going to make any bones about that. A great signing, absolutely great signing. And of course, joins his two brothers now as having played for the Panthers. His older brother James was at the Panthers for about 5 seasons, and also Robert was played a couple of games for the Panthers way back when, I seem to remember. And actually, Luke Ferrara has represented the Panthers before in a preseason game against Asiago in 2012, and the season we went on to win the league title. So he has pulled on the black and gold shirt before. So yeah, it's a great pickup for the Nottingham Panthers without any shadow of a doubt. Adam RP89, who is on the chat, I've seen. He says, "How do you see our Brit pack shaping up in general and compared to other teams? And what do you think of the possible addition of Lewis Hook?" I've seen Lewis Hook rumoured. I've also seen Craig Moore rumoured. I think Hook would be a fabulous addition. Had a very good season in Belfast. Of course, played for Panthers in the Elite Series as well, and prior to that in the Champions Hockey League, the first season he was in it. So yes, I would be very happy with Lewis Hook, but at this point it's just a rumour. Same as I've seen with Craig Moore, who was at Dundee last season in defence. But I think the addition of Luke Ferrara has really pushed the Brit pack up there. I think getting Jack Hopkins on a full-time contract has been an absolute masterstroke, because I think he needs to play at this level now. He needs to play at elite league level, and he doesn't need shoveling away on the fourth line. He's not that sort of player. Jack Hopkins is a natural goal scorer. So I really hope he gets to play high up, maybe even get some power play time as well, because he has been a great player on the power play. So yeah, so I think that is a fabulous side. Matthew Myers, what can you say, was superb. One of the few positives from last season for the Panthers. Absolute quality, was superb in the World Championships, I thought. So yeah, delighted that Matthew Myers is back with us. Jordan Kelso, again, another positive from last season. Did so well. Became a really good penalty killer as well, and a great grinding forward, and popped up with some really important goals at times as well. So yeah, definitely happy with how the Brit pack is shaping up. 2 more to come, obviously. I suppose it depends on how Gary Graham wants the net-minding duo to look. From what he said on the latest podcast, he will be a import netminder and Brit backup at the moment. So that's the way that is looking. In which case, there's not room for Moore and Hook. There will be one or the other, or another Brit, and then a British backup netminder, but with the way that the rules are this season. So yeah, I think that is definitely a wait and see at the moment. Jack Walker at Panther J94 says, with 5 Brits already on the books for next season and roster sizes increasing to 20 guys, who would you like to see make up the final Brit slot before the import signings get underway? Well, of course, Jeremy Welsh was announced as coming back last night, so the import signings are underway as such. I know you've said 5 Brits, Jack, but obviously Hazeldine is 2-way, so he won't necessarily count. So you can say 4 full-time Brits with 2 more to come, and as I've just explained, it depends on the netminder situation on how that works out. So let's have a look at the comments. If it wasn't for the age rules and Tomo, then Luke would probably still be a Steeler. Possibly so. But if ifs and buts were beer and nuts, we'd all have one hell of a party. And the fact is, he left the Steelers, went to Coventry, and now he's come to the Panthers. So, yeah, that's all in all a great upward career trajectory for Luke Ferrara. You know, started at the bottom, and now he's working his way up. All the Ferraras will have played Panthers and Phantoms in competitive fixtures, which is pretty mad stat for 3 brothers. Certainly is. And thoughts on Hopkins getting top 2 line minutes. He's also a goal scorer, so surely more suited there than on the grinding 4th line. Absolutely agree. GB Ice Hockey Future Hope it isn't Lewis Hook. I want Hopkins to have a chance to move up the lineup during the season. I think he will have. I don't think there's any doubt that will happen. And it was interesting to listen to what Gary Graham was saying on the podcast about how he obviously didn't know about him, but his agent did. And his agent said to him, "You have to get Hopkins." So it's clear that Jack Hopkins is making a name for himself. That the fact that Gary Graham's agent knew about him and knew that he was an important signing for the Panthers. So that is really good. The other good thing is that Gary Graham spent last season with the Omaha Lancers in one of the top junior leagues in the United States. So he is coming off the back of developing players. So I'm hoping that he will come in and develop players. And he said how much he was looking forward to working with Jack Hopkins and developing him further. So, really excited to see what happens there. Anthony Russell, Jack Hopkins on the fourth line will be like using a solid gold fork to eat a pot noodle. Absolutely, yes, without a doubt. Who are they going to get as a Brit backup? They've almost all moved down at this point. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That is a real. If you're going to bring in a Brit backup, it needs to be the sort of Brit who can take a few games. So you're probably looking at Jackson Whistle, but to be honest, I can't see him leaving Belfast. Ben Bounds is obviously already committed to Cardiff. Would Sam Gospel come back? Because I think Sam Gospel has earned his stripes with the Leeds Knights. He's probably ready to start a few games in the Elite League now without a doubt. So, yeah, definitely. And Marie-Jean, any other Lions players worth taking a look at? Would Yokoyama be classed as an import? Yes, he would. He has got a British passport, Zach Yokoyama, but because he hasn't played 2 years as a junior here, he wouldn't class as a British player. So he would count as an import in the Elite League. Churchfield to come back, possibly. Rob asks, what do you think of Panthers preseason friendlies being played against Cardiff and Sheffield? Would it be better to prepare against a sterner European challenge instead of Elite League teams? It would be great to play European teams, but I think the times that we are in now, COVID still hasn't gone away. A lot of problems with Brexit, as we all know. I think it'd be quite tricky to bring a European team over, and I think, especially this season with Gary Graham coming in as a new coach, new to the league, I think actually it makes sense to play games against the likes of Cardiff and Sheffield because you can see what he's up against straight away because they're going to be sort of in that mix. So I think actually this season he gets a good look at what he's up against, and in pre-season when he can work on things and change things around if needs be. So I actually don't think it's a bad setup having the games against Cardiff and Sheffield. I can understand where people are coming from. That they would like some different opposition. I do get that, but I think from a team learning point of view, from a new coach point of view, it is actually the right decision to do that. Jamie says Churchfield was rumoured back to MK, but so have Will Curling and Ethan James, the young Romford netty. That's interesting. I actually got a question about Will Curling, which is next from Tom at Tom J 1994. He says, could you see Will Curling re-sign as backup for us, or do you think he will drop down from the Elite League to get more game time? He needs to drop down. He needs to get more game time. He's had 2 seasons now in the Elite League and barely got any ice time. He needs to play. He's a good netminder with a lot of potential, but he's going to lose that if he's sitting on the bench. He needs to play. So I don't think he will be back as backup. Is my opinion. I don't know anything, but I think from his career perspective, I think he needs to play. So he needs to go somewhere else in the National League, I would say. Craig Bond asks, with players like Luke Ferrara moving to this new way of thinking, who else do you think we will be able to pull in? We need 2 playing netminders, but with Bounds gone, who can we get good enough? I think if Gospel had come, he would be a decent choice if he's promised games. There's no point in Sam Gospel coming back and sitting on the bench. It's a waste. Um, but yeah, I mean, Luke Ferrara coming to the club is a big statement, huge statement. And shows great intent from the new setup from Omar Pacha and Gary Graham to bring a British player of that caliber in. And then does that sort of make other players look and think, well, this is who they're bringing in. They're obviously serious about making changes and competing. It it makes the club more attractive. Clearly, it clearly does. So I think it's a great move. I mean, I've obviously talked about the netminder, so I won't go into any more depth in on that. But yeah, I think it will help us with recruiting players, especially these last two British players that we need, without a doubt. Jack Walker at Panther J94 says Gary Graham discusses in his latest Coaches Corner podcast about bringing in a renowned enforcer who's been talking with Brian McGrattan, Big Earn. Speculations on who you could feel it could be. I haven't got a clue, and I know your question came in earlier today, so I had a look at sort of Fort Wayne Comets. Cody Sol, I think, is a possibility. Just looking at how long he spent with Gary Graham in Fort Wayne, was obviously at Glasgow last season, a lot of penalty minutes, but can play as well. I think it's really important when you're looking at enforcer, it's got to be someone who's going to be able to put up points. And there was someone else I looked at there. I think it was Rob Stojanovic or Stanwich or something like that. His penalty minutes weren't massive. They were sort of 80, 90, 100 minutes, but nearly a point a game player. And watching watching an interview with him from May from the local Fort Wayne sort of CBS News affiliate, it's not guaranteed that he's going back. So I think that may be a possibility. He's going to know Gary Graham. So who knows? Why not? I mean, I don't know. I have absolutely no clue, and that's just complete speculation just from having quickly looked at it. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. But from the podcast, he did say he was in quite advanced talks with him. So we will see what happens there. And we definitely need an enforcer who can play, because last season we were just bullied, and that can't happen again. Lee Constable at Lee Constable 91. He says, for the first time in a while, Panthers look to be going in a great new direction. What has impressed you most so far? Also, what was the most promising thing you heard at the Q&A with Pasha? It's brilliant. It's a complete breath of fresh air. It's wonderful. The last month has just been fantastic to be a Panthers fan. From being in the gutter and just like totally disenfranchised with it after last season, for Omar Pacha to come in and create the buzz he has, bring in what looks to be a really good new coach, bring in the likes of Luke Ferrara, the communication has massively improved. The social media has massively improved. The website has massively improved. Everything is just improving no end. I mean, things like a weekly podcast with the coach. It's such new thinking, and it's such a great idea, and it's great to have that content. And you're hearing these things, and the thing that they're talking about fan engagement and talking to the fans. The Q&A was brilliant. Pasha listened. He's such a passionate guy. It's wonderful to be a Panthers fan at the minute, because the thing is, it's very easy to say, yeah, it's all words. Let's see actions. We are seeing actions, and that's the great thing. It isn't just words. The actions are actually being followed up and are happening, and it's so great to see. The other thing as well, it's a vindication for a lot of people. Say I moan or been negative. I'm not. I just want the club to be the absolute best it can be, and I think under Omar Pacha, who said he wants the club to be the gold standard in everything. That's what I want to hear. And I feel that myself and a lot of people around me who I talk to, and Ants on who's the same, I feel vindicated in what we were saying. We were saying it wasn't good enough. Someone's come in now and said, "You're right. It's not good enough. It needs to be better. I'm going to make it better." And that's all we wanted to hear, is that someone was going to come in and make it better, and they are making it better. And it's lit a fire under me again for supporting the Nottingham Panthers, because it is just so positive at the minute, and it's great. It's great to be positive and be enthusiastic and optimistic about what next season might bring. And no, I don't expect us to go and win the league, but I think we'll challenge, and I'm excited to see who we bring in. I'm excited to see a new coach. I'm excited to see how there seem to be something in place for developing young British players as well, which is new. It's great. It's just great. It's so enthusiastic about the new season. So much so, I renewed my season ticket. I know I said I wasn't going to, but it got to a couple of days before. You know what? I don't want to miss out on this, so I renewed it. I'm probably not going to get to a lot of games because of work, but you know what? I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out. So, well done, Pash. You've you've convinced me, who was absolutely no way going to renew my season ticket, mainly because of work. But you've actually convinced me. You know what? I'm going to renew. So I did it. So there we go. Ellipsis, passionate. No, I'll see myself out. You do that, mate. And we'll be contacting the arena tomorrow to get a season ticket first since 2018-19. I doubt you'll be the only one. GB Ice Hockey Future, think we'll see Nottingham link up with an EIHL team under Pacha. I asked him that very question at the Q&A. He said it was something that he certainly wouldn't rule out, but it's not something that they are looking at the moment. But he certainly said he wouldn't rule it out for the future, because I mentioned the link up between Bristol and Cardiff, but I think that's because the coaching teams know each other, which makes it a natural link up. I do know that there has been that Pacha is meeting very regularly with Paul Glossop and Matt Bradbury from the Lions and the Nottingham Junior Ice Hockey Club. So it looks like there will be some sort of link up and between the Panthers and the juniors, which is well overdue and is great to see. So yeah, everything is just so positive at the moment about the club. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. Tony Wright, I do hope we get an enforcer type back in the team. It help bring in the crowds, as the attraction of ice hockey is that it is a physical sport, and let's face it, a good fight gets the crowd going. It's never quiet when there's a fight on, is there? It's never quiet. And that's obviously my wife's looking for her phone because she's left it down here. She can come and get it later. That's what the beeping was. So yeah, it's all looking good. It's all looking positive. One last question from Michael Cook at MD Cook 94. I think the current content and communication has been much better recently. What other changes would you like to see from Omar Pacha and the club? The only thing, I mean, everything's moving so fast and everything's getting so much better. I'd like to see what they do with the webcast, because I had COVID just after Christmas, so I watched a couple of games on webcast. The webcast wasn't great last season. There was no pre-show, so they came straight in basically at face-off. So there was no discussion about the teams. There was nothing in between the period breaks. No content. I think for £15, the webcast has got to be a lot better. It's got to offer a lot more. So I would really like to see what they do with that. But obviously, we're not going to see that till the start of the season. But to be honest, I'm just so happy with everything that's happening at the minute, and it's moving at such a fast pace, and everything seems to be changing and changing for the better. So I just want to see them carry on in the same trajectory that they've been going on. I mean, it's been 100 miles an hour. Passion must have been working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. to get the club to where we are. And there's so many fans are just saying the breath of fresh air. I mean, he brought out a statement tonight. He sort of his updates, just little things like that. It means so much to keep the fans informed. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful to see. It's it's great. It's just great. I'm so happy at the minute with the way that things are going with the Panthers. It's just it's because I think it's because it's something I've wanted to happen for so long, and now it's happening. So from a personal point of view, it just makes me so happy, and it makes me feel vindicated from what I've been saying. So yeah, all great. Any final questions? Just bang them in the chat before we go. Let's see if we can get to less than an hour, less than an hour. But if you do have any more questions, just pop them in the chat box before I go. Jamie Bartholomew, thoughts on the Brit pool with the talent spreading out more with the National League going from 9 to 11 teams? Yeah. But I think it's good because it means that the sort of talented Brits from EIHL 1 and EIHL 2 get the chance to move up. So everybody moves up and it brings more people in at the bottom and it creates that sort of trickle up. You know, you either sink or swim. So they have to be given the chance and coaches have to give them the chance. Neil Braden, first time watching. Let's go Giants fan. I'm excited to see what's happening with the Panthers. It's good, and that's something that's nice to see from around the league. Is a few people from other teams saying, you know, how good it is to see a strong Panthers side. I don't agree with the sentiment that the league needs a strong Panthers because the league got on just fine last season and the Panthers weren't strong. So I don't get that with any club. It's like, oh, the league needs a strong Steelers or the league needs a strong Giants. The league needs a strong Panthers. I don't think it does. The league is a league. It's got to be competitive. So, you know, I don't subscribe to that point of view at all. But it has been so nice to see fans from other clubs say, you know what, fair play. You know, it's good to see that things are changing and things are changing for the better. Ellipsis, I'm intrigued, but I can't say I'm happy about it when we're so close to you. Yeah, and I'm sure you know what I did feel for Coventry yesterday because I honestly never thought that Luke Ferrara would ever leave the Blaze because I thought he was so settled there and doing so well there. I mean, obviously, I'm delighted that he hasn't come to the Panthers, but the Coventry is an organisation I've got an awful lot of respect for. There's a lot of good people who work there. I speak to Ed Kimberley a lot regarding commentary and things like that. So, and he's a really good guy. There's so many good people working behind the scenes. I have a lot of respect for Danny Stewart as well. Top bloke. So yeah, so I do feel because it's not nice to lose a player. I mean, I know how I felt when Panthers lost Sam Hare. You know that was a hard to take. So I can imagine it's quite hard to take for Coventry fans to lose a player of that caliber. But you know, the other way of looking at it is, does that free up then wages to spend on better imports or more imports and bringing more developing Brits? You have to see how it works out. I mean, yes, at the moment you're not going to see it this way, but it does create an opportunity for the Blaze. So it depends on how that is going to be used. Ellipsis says we are in such a hole now. Feds is irreplaceable. Is irreplaceable. Now, CJ Mott, excellent netminder, but certainly not irreplaceable. There's plenty of good netminders out there. Plenty of good netminders who can come in. So as good as Mott was and is, I don't think he's irreplaceable. Ferrara, I agree, is a bit more difficult because he's a top quality Brit. And he's probably not a top quality Brit to bring into the Blaze right now. But there is probably, does that give them Ross Venus the opportunity to step up and Forbes to step up and Clements to step up and become more senior Brits? Does it give an opportunity for someone like Austin Mitchell King to come into the Blaze full time? So there will be opportunities there. How about how many netters with such a catchy chant? Can't replace that. You can't beat the Hershey chant, the Hershey 5-0 chant. That was something else. Adam says we had a bad loss with Ollie. That was hard. Yeah, losing Ollie Betteridge was a blow. Losing Josh Tetlow was a blow. But I think that's been tempered somewhat by Luke Ferrara coming in. But also look at it this way: that Ollie Betteridge has created an opportunity for himself in Europe, as Josh Tetlow. Has Ollie Betteridge doing that now allowed the chance for Jack Hopkins to come in full time and shows what he can do? You see that there's always opportunities. And now is it Jack Hopkins' turn to come in and make a name for himself and become a top quality Brit, which I truly believe he will do. I think Jack Hopkins is a Great Britain forward of the future, and I'm delighted that he's got a full-time chance in the Elite League with the Panthers. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, any more questions before I go? I've just seen I've got a DM. David Stevenson. Hi, Jono. If you do a chat tomorrow, I'm doing it now. Do you feel the 4 British forwards are potentially positioned to work best as one per each line? Ferrara top and Hopkins second, with Kelsall Myers jumping between third and fourth. Interesting. Hopkins second line. I can't see him going straight on. I think Hopkins is more likely to start on the third line. I think Myers probably fourth line, but also on the power play because he's incredibly effective on the power play for both Panthers and Great Britain. So I think Myers is a centre, Hopkins is a centre, and Ferrara is a right wing. So Ferrara probably top or second line. I think Hopkins is more likely to be the third line centre than second, but probably with a view to moving up to the second line should he impress throughout the season and develop. This is a hot take, but I think Jack Hopkins is pretty good at the ice hockey, says GB Hockey Future. He most certainly is. One of the most naturally gifted forwards I've ever seen at any level. And I've seen him sort of on 15s now through to playing with the Panthers. Absolute. He's second sense, knows exactly where to be on the ice. Play Ferrara second line and save him for the special teams. Yeah, I think Ferrara will be very important for the power play. I think second line is right. Did he play penalty kill for the Blazers? I think he did, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Ferrara is more probably suited second line and you know a lot of time on the power play. So yeah, shirts released for the All-Stars today. Yes, Cross-Check Clothing have been tweeting them out, so do take a look at them. Tanya Reid, Liam Stanton is rumoured to be fully signed for us this season. Oh, I really hope so. He's another exceptional talent, Liam Stanton. Great defenseman. I would love to see him full-time in the Elite League as well. I think he did so well for Glasgow second half of last season when he came in pretty much full-time. So, yeah, I really hope that Malcolm Cameron gives him the opportunity because he's earned it. He's such a good player. Love to see him back at Panthers, but I think he's pretty settled up in Scotland. So he always just lurks and finds the space on the power play so gracefully. It's such a fun thing to watch, and I'm jealous that you guys get to watch so much of it now, Ellipsis says. Regarding Ferrara, yeah, he scored a couple of power play goals against Panthers earlier in the season. So, yeah. I look forward to seeing it. Right, we are nearly an hour, so I think it's time to call time on this hockey chat. So probably another one we'll look at in a month's time as we get further into season and more signings are made and more things we can talk about. But delighted to have your company tonight. Thanks so much for coming along on Tuesday night in June. It's been great to chat hockey once again. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget, this will be available as a podcast later in about 20 minutes or so. And please do tweet the link out if you watched it and enjoyed it. Do do tweet out the link so as many people as possible can see it. But for now, thanks ever so much. I'll chat to you again in about a month's time. But until then, have a great rest of your June and early summer. And I'll speak to you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.